Hi everyone, today I want to share a product that's coming out starting in January 4th. It's from the new spring catalog, the January to April 2024 mini catalog, and I've been playing around with some of the new products. This is one we did at Stamp Camp this past weekend, and I wanted to use new products at Stamp Camp so people could see what's coming. And we used the, I believe it's called Nature's Sweet, or Nature's Sweetness Sweet. And it's a whole collection of products that includes 2 stamp sets, 2 dies, papers, and embellishments. So I'm going to show them to you, but we're going to use this Notes of Nature stamp set and dies for our card. So it's a 2 die set, and you can see these are kind of the type of stamps that you can do a lot of collage look and lots of layering with, and that's a really fun thing to have in your collection. You can just do textural stamping and lots of just, you know, just kind of adding to that, to the feel of like a vintagey or a, what am I trying to say? I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. Lots of layering, and it's just a really beautiful stamp collection. You can also just use some of these really nice images on their own too. They give you the feel of a journal, a field journal, nature journal, booklet, something like that. So it's really a cute little collection, and the whole thing together has so many elements when you add. Let me show you what I mean. These dies, for example, have this really fun piece here that is kind of got this little stitching here, which could be a tearaway, you know, if maybe you want to do something that's a tearaway bookmark or something. You've got these little stitched areas here, and these little holes you can do some lacing through, or just make it look like the edge of a notebook. It's really a cute idea for that. And then this one kind of carries in some of those elements as well. Imagine that you can use some of these things as a tab folder, like a pull-up. Maybe if you have a card that you want to have someone pull something up, or an old file folder look, or card catalog kind of look. So it's just a really nice die collection, and when you put the two together, you can just expand what you're doing. Now for Stamp Camp we just used the one, so, but I imagine I'm going to get some good use out of these as well. So I wanted to show you both of them, even though we're going to focus on this one for our card. So here's the Lovely and Sweet. Anyway, okay, I like this vanilla bean. Anyway, really nice. Okay, here's the one we're going to use. And I just think all of it, in fact for the card I used every single image in the entire set and 1 sentiment for my card. So I just went crazy with the layering. Now the collection also comes with, or you can add on, this beautiful paper. Okay, you've got foil paper on one side of all of them. Oops, I left some in the bag. And then the other side is not foiled, but look at this one, beautiful. And on the back you have these like vanilla bean plants, and then this is a nice little just background grid, really nice kind of distressed look. And on the back you've got this plant, which I think it's a cocoa plant, but you've also got the vanilla bean. It's basically the exact same images from that stamp set, and I imagine the die would actually cut those out. It's got some from both sets, so you can see this one here, and actually yes, the die will cut that out, and this one here has a die. And then if you go to the other stamp set, there is a die for the vanilla bean and the cocoa plant, and I don't know what the other plant is. This one. No. This big one. If you know, let me know. So you can cut out all those pieces with the dies, or you can just cut them out or leave them as a beautiful paper, whatever you want to do. And then this is my favorite, I think, this newsprint with the splattering of gold. And the back of that one looks like this. I wonder if these are also sized for cutting. They do look smaller. Let me check. Yeah, they're smaller. All right, now I got to double check that these are bigger. They are, yes. Okay, so this cuts out this one perfectly. Okay, but these are sized smaller, although that one looks the same. Okay, and then you've got this one. Look at that. gorgeous. And then the back of that is more kind of distressed looking paper. Now this one, you can use these as card fronts. So cut out and make 6 individual cards, and you can do some coloring or leave them as is, add on top of them. I can imagine doing some things with sponging or whatever you like, markers on those. And here's the back of that. I love this one. And finally this one with the nice foil lettering. And here's the back of that, like a little ledger or accounting book. So there we have it. There are your papers. Now at Stamp Camp, I actually had quite a big, crowd. So I had to cut for 20, and I didn't have enough of that paper to cut for 20. So we didn't use that paper. We used one of the celebration papers, which is going on right now, and I will show it to you. We used this one in Wild Wheat, and I really like this Wild Wheat color. It's kind of a golden and with a greenish tint to it, and then the back is really pretty too, but we didn't use this side. But this has Lost Lagoon in it, which is one of my favorites. So this is called stippled paper, and stippled rose, I believe, stippled, softly stippled. Let me check really quick. I'm not allowed to show the inside of the catalog until tomorrow. Softly stippled, but it's a whole collection of paper that kind of has this look to it on one side and patterns on the other side, and that's what we used in our card at class, and that is free with a $50 purchase. So if you bought that bundle, you would qualify for this paper free. Okay, so here's what we're going to do with our card. Let me show you the card really quick, and then I'll show you how we put it together. And like I said, it's that lovely collage look. So we're going to be doing a lot of layering, and I'm going to give you some tips on how I like to layer things for ease of putting things down. So here we go. I have 2 pieces here that are not part of the dies. Here's the dies. These are part of Stylish Shapes, which is kind of like a die set that you might want to keep in your collection because it's so basic and yet so useful for everything. And here it is. And you've got circles, squares, and then these banners. This is the largest one, which is not in the box for some reason. Oh yes, it is. It's just behind here. And then several sizes of circles and squares with a nice stitching detail. So as you can see, I used one of the circles and one of the banner pieces, and I cut those out ahead of time for Stamp Camp because, like I said, I had a lot of people and I don't want everybody standing in line at the die cut machine. So you've got those 2 pieces, and then another piece that we used, oh I should say, this is Crumb Cake and this is Mossy Meadow, and then I think I already mentioned that this is Wild Wheat. Okay, and this is just a standard card size. It's a sheet of 8.5 by 11, cut in half lengthwise, and then scored down the center. Now this piece is very vanilla, and I used this die here to give me this kind of notebook paper look to it. And we're going to just dress this a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that. And then at Stamp Camp, I like to have cut out a lot of these pieces ahead of time so there's not a line at the machine. And I use just about every little die here. I use this one, which is right here. And so that I could cut more out with at one time, I used that one. But you can use any of the greenery for these. And I used both sizes of the smaller one, and I cut those out with gold foil, like this. So I've got these pieces and this one on this card. We also used this die and this die. So we used pretty much all the dies except for these 2 on this card. But those we have to stamp first, so I couldn't pre-cut those. All right, so we've got all of our pieces laid out. Here is the card quickly. I'm going to show you how to distress this, how to get some good marks in the background here, and we'll put something on the inside as well. The only ink pad we're using is Crumb Cake. So let me grab that. Here is how I started. All right, so I started out with this one here, and what we're going to do, I'm going to quickly mount all of these. Okay, I've got all my stamps mounted. So we're going to start out with this guy here, and this is just a little flower, and I'm going to stamp it with crumb cake ink on crumb cake paper, just kind of randomly. And you want to go off the side a little bit, just so that it appears like you've cut it out of some designer paper. And try to vary which image is showing. Now you're going to barely see this once you do all your layering, so this is just kind of going to be underneath, and that is great. Okay, so I've got some random flowers. That's done with that one. Put that aside. Okay, now let's do our stamping on this one. Now this one we're trying to rough up, so I'm going to use this really fun, I love this, Field Notes, and I want to give that kind of a good placement so that that shows up. So I've put that in the top corner. And then this one, again, this is all gonna be layered, so having them line up perfectly is not a big deal. So you're gonna add this one just kind of wherever you want. So you can add it maybe at the bottom. You can keep it inked up and go off the side, something like that. Okay, now this dot one we're going to use a lot. So I'm inking it up, and then I'm going to kind of just go around and rough up my edges. Even though I only inked it up once, I'm still getting some residual, so I'm getting some different tones, dark and light, and I kind of went all around roughing it up. Okay, so that is this piece. Now we need to distress this even further. There's a couple good ways to do this. You can take your scissors. I tend to use my fingernail, which is why I never paint my nails. I'm always messing them up. And you can go like this and just kind of rough up that edge. Or you can grab a bone folder and rough it up as well. So I'm trying to be pretty rough. So I like the scratchy scratchiness of it. I want to rough up this paper. I want it to peel and fold. The edges can start to separate. You know how paper is more than one layer usually. I like that. You can even have a little tear in it because you're trying to rough this up. And then over here by this serrated edge, or not serrated edge, what am I trying to say? This little edge here, you could even make it come apart if you want, and have it like you tore it out of the book. Just kind of rough it up. Alright, so as far as you like it, keep going. Get it as rough as you prefer. I'm going to rip it a little bit here. Ooh, I like that. Let's go with that. There, rough that up. Okay. Okay, so that is my worn journal page. Okay, so now I'm going to put these down just to get these out of my way. Okay, there's my background. Now while I have these stamps still sitting here, I am going to do the inside. Okay, so I've got my background here, and the inside is just another piece of very vanilla, and you can decide you want to mimic that. I did not on mine, and all I did here was I added this leaf, which we're going to use on the front of our card as well, and then I went and did these dots again. And I just kind of roughed up my edges a little bit. Just gave them a little distressing, like that. Okay, so those are our stamped pieces like this. Now we have to stamp our loose pieces. So I mentioned we're going to use these two. One is this nice little flower, and I was inspired by that paper, this one, where one of those pieces is embossed. But I mentioned that we had a lot coming to Stamp Camp, so I couldn't have anybody use these cut from the paper, so we made our own. Here it is, see? We made our own, and that way I was able to save my paper because I do love it, and I think I'd rather use it as a whole and just emboss these on their own. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to use a piece of Very Vanilla scrap, and we're going to emboss this in gold. Now that's a nice big piece. I'm going to use the smaller one. Okay, so I'm going to emboss. First I'm going to just go ahead and stamp this one. We're going to use this one in crumb cake. Okay, and then this one we're going to emboss in gold. So we need Versamark and, excuse my arm, gold embossing powder. So, looks like nothing, right? If you haven't embossed before, it's such a fun thing to do. So you've got that Versamark, which is a sticky powder or sticky stamp, and then you pour your powder over it. And it sticks to the sticky area, and then we're going to heat it up. And that is magical. I will show you how that goes. So watch the, I shouldn't care about these little pieces because I'm going to cut this out anyway, but I'm, for some reason, needing to move them. Okay, I'm going to heat it up. You can watch how this turns shiny. That's how you know it's done. Isn't that magical? Okay, so we're going to cut these out, but since I have my heat gun right here, I'm going to go ahead and do this one as well. Now this one I want to do in like a white, because I want those words to show up. And when I emboss, sometimes embossing a sentiment with gold is okay. Sometimes I feel that it is so tiny that that reflective shiny surface makes the words hard to read, and that was what I felt about this one. So I thought that the white was a little better to go, which I realized is not the same as the vanilla. So then I think, okay, maybe I don't want to do it, but in reality, oops, because I have I've got a separation, it's on the green, and the vanilla is then layered, I think it looks just fine. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to wipe this out real quick with a tissue. Okay, so I'm going to emboss in white. And I did, on the stamp camp, we did a birthday card, and this one I'm going to do a note to say hello, because I have someone I want to send this to. I should mention that this little tray is nice because it has a little hole here so you can dump it back into the bottle. This embossing powder will last you a long time because you're just putting it back in the bottle. Hardly any is needed to stick to the words. If you buy the tray, it comes with these little reverse tweezers, which will help you hold if you need to hold it, because sometimes if you start to heat it up, it blows away. So I'm going to go like this. Sometimes it needs a little flick. It also comes with a little brush. Now here I'm not cutting out, so I do want these little tiny leftover pieces to go away. All right, and I'm going to heat this up. Just as I was about to heat it up, I realized I missed the top of the L. So I'm going to bring that back over. Now I've got all my pieces. We need to cut these out. So you can use, since I just cut these on a little scrap, I'm going to use this tiny machine so that I can do it on camera. I do have the regular size, which is nice. If you could only get one, maybe the regular size is better because you can do larger dies. Because in this set, you know, there's that one die that's pretty large. I wonder if it would fit in there. Yeah, it would still fit in there, actually. Okay, anyway. Some embossing folders don't, so that's why I mention it. All right. I do like having this little one because I could bring it to Stamp Camp and move it around the room easily. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to use, since I'm cutting two, I'm going to use some washi tape. Still little scraps of tape. You can also use, if you have a little Post-it notepad, they have those little tiny ones, I love those. My plates are pretty bowed. I should point that out, maybe you're noticing. And you know, I just keep using them and using them, and I don't think about it. And then when I go to use it, I think, wow, I should order some new ones. Then when I'm putting my order together, I forget about them because I've already put them away. So I never order new ones, but they still work. So the bowing shouldn't bother me, but anyway, I thought I'd point that out. Here we go. You might notice when I put them in, excuse me. You might notice when I put them in that I did not line up my plates all nice and neat. I had one staggered back a little bit, and this helps it go through the machine. If it goes through in a blunt, big, thick all at once, for some reason it gets caught up. So it just works smoothly if I go like this. That's just a little tip in case you bought it and you were wondering why you were having a difficulty. Okay. So I've got all my pieces and we're ready to assemble. The only thing I want to do is add a little bit of color to this guy right there. So I used the Wild Wheat marker. You can grab blender pen, or you can grab you can use, you know, something like this, the smaller marker. This is a Stamping Blends. I like that it comes in a dark and a light, and so we just used this one here. And all I did was add a little bit to the center of the leaf, just to give it a little more color in the middle. Like it was a type of leaf that's got, you know, the, what do you call it, a variegated leaf, is that right? Okay, so that's all I did with that. Okay, let's layer it. So what I like to do when I'm layering pieces is I like to grab some adhesive and just put it down right where everything's going to kind of lay on top of each other. So what I mean by that is I just kind of, and I want to offset it a little bit, so I'm going to just go like this and make a little blob of adhesive like that. And then what did I do with all my little pieces? Here they are. I can lay things down. So for example, I want this gold piece to kind of show up here, and I want this green one right there, and then I want some coming down the bottom. Now sometimes you want to make sure that you're leaving enough space distance so that you're not covering these up completely. I didn't get enough adhesive on the bottom part. There. So let's make sure you can still see. And then I wanted some more gold to show, so I'm going to stick, although actually I might leave him for last because he's so tiny. Yeah, I'm going to put those in last. Okay, so I've got those down, and then this one I'm going to stick up on some dimensionals. Okay, like so. All right, and then this goes on top. So we're lots of layers here. We're going for that layered collagey look. This is going to go right there. So let's do that. I don't want to cover up that gold too much, so let's kind of have it coming off to the side so I can still see that gold. And here's why I held off this one, is I want to tuck it in where I feel it's needed. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit of glue there and tuck it down there, and same thing with this one. Okay, I've tucked that in. Next, I wanted to add some kind of texture like some ribbon, and I love linen thread. So I'm going to tie a bow. This is a little long, let me cut it. I like the floppiness, I'm leaving it kind of large like this. And then I'm going to just stick it down with a glue dot, because then our sentiment is going to cover part of that. So, putting that right there. And then my sentiment is going to go across like so. All right, there we go. There's our little travel journal card, our field notes. I think it's really fun, kind of a collage look. And we were able to achieve that with just some blank paper, and we just layered and layered and layered. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a really fun card. Here's the one we did at camp with the happy birthday, same stamp set. Oh, you can add some of that to the inside too, I forgot. There you go. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you'll take a look at that new mini catalog. Take a look at the Nature's Sweetness suite. It's a whole bunch of products, and you can mix and match them all or get the whole suite. And don't forget that during celebration you choose free products when you spend $50 or $100. So that catalog is on now as well. I will have the new mini catalog as well as the celebration catalogs up at my blog starting January 4th, so you can take a look at all the new things. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.